Hey, I'm Marc Gutman, founder of WILDSTOry Media, and I'm sitting here with Ryan Evans.
Hi, my name is Ryan. I'm the co-founder of Inboard Sports. We manufacture lightweight electric transportation vehicles.
Cool, and Ryan and I'm actually out here in California. I'm based in Colorado, and we've been doing some work together, and as circumstances would have it, this morning we both got a phone call from someone through a mutual friend who was running a Kickstarter campaign that was off to a really poor start. And Ryan and I, we both worked on a really successful Kickstarter campaign, the one for Inboard, and we started talking about things to do and not to do on your Kickstarter campaign. So Ryan, talking about that, what's the number one thing you would tell people looking for advice about getting a Kickstarter campaign to be successful?
Well, I think one of the big goals that, what was on our side, or the big advantages that we had was time. Like, we sat down for about 3 months before we launched our Kickstarter, and not only talked about the Kickstarter plan itself, but also the PR and kind of rollout strategy going into it. And I think for us, that was huge because it really kind of defined what we wanted to do and how we wanted to accomplish it. And then it just became a checklist of things that we had to do so that we knew we were primed for success.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we were just talking about that today. I mean, when the person that called us, the thing that we said, the most important thing they could have done was call us before you launch. And so having that foresight and preparation, it's really too late to get all your ducks in a row, after you launch. There's not a ton that you can do. One thing I also noticed in the example we were talking about today is it's really important to spread out your tiers, in your reward tiers. In the example we saw today, someone went from basically like $39 all the way to like 5,000, and there's just not enough incentive for backers to get behind it.
And they did that specifically like that. It was like $5 to $39 to $599 to $10,000. And that doesn't give you, I really want to support this project. $39 seems too little, $599 is way too much, and that's a huge jump there. So kind of taking a step back, talking about the pre-preparation that we did, I think one of the biggest ones we talked about was how to structure that Kickstarter, both in terms of the rewards and what those tiers were, and really kind of who we wanted to target. Just like any other campaign that you want to roll out, like who is your customer, who's your audience, and how do you speak to that? And with a Kickstarter, you're going to have a variance of kind of different participation levels and people who are interested, from casual to very supportive, and you want to make sure that you identify all those and that you've kind of been able to satiate all those.
Yeah, I agree. And with this specific Kickstarter campaign, I think one of the things that was really imperative was that we didn't just build it and hope they can't come, right? We spent a lot of time with public relations, a lot of efforts getting the word out, and really specific to that target audience. Doesn't, bunch of soccer moms knowing about Inboard doesn't help us, but the core customer and going out to people at core publications and media and really spending our efforts and knowing exactly who we want to cover the Kickstarter campaign prior to ever launching. That was, I think, a huge asset to us in getting the right kind of coverage and the right attention to the campaign.
Absolutely. So once we identified kind of who our core customer segments were, Mark and I sat down and talked about, well, how do we reach those customers? How do you get them to your page? And that's where we kind of outlined and delineated, the tech crunches, the gizmodos, at least for our product. If you are selling a soccer ball, you want to target soccer moms. For us, we wanted to target, commuters and business professionals living in, kind of cooler areas like San Francisco, Austin, Portland, New York, Chicago. And because of that, we decided, okay, well, VentureBeat's going to be a really good platform to get these press releases out. And so we were able to work with WILDSTOry to craft something that would not only reach those customers. To get to those customers, you have to engage the writers and the editors of those magazines. And I think we did that very successfully.
I do too. And so I think the key takeaway is our preparation, right? You and I, we went back and forth. You were just asking me input on videos and copy, and I know you were like looking at other people too. I mean, you were way ahead of the curve, continually refining, continually perfecting that message. You only have one chance to tell your story, right? Only one chance to hook that buyer in. I think that the amount of preparation that went into it was probably like 10x versus the actual day we launched and then after the launch. It was like all about preparation, and if you do that right, your backers will come.
I think so, and I think about 75% of it was pre-preparation. I would say that 10%, maybe more, is really customer service and being responsive to those questions, those comments, the inbound messages that you'll have, and being prepared for that, which is a very difficult thing for a startup who's launching a Kickstarter versus an established company launching a new product on Kickstarter. For us, we were brand new, so making sure we had the customer service resources and the people in place to handle that deluge of inbound inquiry, and we did that well. The last thing I'd say is keeping your customers informed and engaged. And anybody who saw your Kickstarter in the first week to 2 weeks, if they're going to come back and they're going to check it out again, even if they ain't back the first time. And if you can create additional content that's released, say, on the 1 week, on the 2 week, and on the 3 week anniversaries of launching, well, every time they come back, they're being engaged in new ways. And just like we got some comments where people would ask, a series of questions and say, I wasn't really interested in backing, but you guys have been so great about answering those questions. Now I really want it back. It was the same thing for people who didn't reach out to us. I saw your first video, and I was really intrigued, but your second and third questions put it over the top. So making sure that you're creating that redundant content, and that rather than a big spike and then kind of a fall off, you're supplementing that with additional content. That really keeps that momentum going.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, a lot of people think they build a Kickstarter page, they put it up there, and all of a sudden all these backers are just going to come flooding in. But it's really about connecting on a personal level. Once they see your story, but then keeping them engaged and really talking to them, and being responsive. I mean, people want to connect, and even more so because there's a little uncertainty with Kickstarter. And we've all been part of that Kickstarter campaign where we've backed, and it just keeps going on and on and on. And we talked about this today and earlier in a meeting that as long as you're continually updating your backers, telling them what's going on. I mean that's what you do, because as we all know that getting into Kickstarter, we're all kind of forging new territory, and we just do the best we can. But as long as you update your backers, I'm going to be happy. I
think communication's key, and engaging with that audience. And the key thing for both of those is knowing who your audience is, and hopefully in that pre-preparation you've identified that, and you know how to communicate to them, and really even perhaps proactively, structure it so that you're answering the majority of those questions. Awesome.
I think that's a wrap.
Excellent.